It's date night at the Venture Brothers compound. And let's talk about Victor Echo November. Probably my favourite episode of Season 2, and up there for my favourite episode of the Venture Brothers altogether. The episode starts with everyone getting ready for their big dates. Dean shaves with Daisy, a razor he's probably not supposed to use.
I used the razor with the big pink handle.
That's my Daisy!
And Hank decides that the Batman is the best outfit he owns.
You said to put on your best outfit.
Outfit, Hank, not costume.
And Rusty has a date with a band musical. Orpheus gives Triana the talk, and it's definitely a more interesting version of the talk than I've ever heard.
When young women reach estrus, the lingam, craves the stamen-like skills of the yoni.
As we find out, she's going on a date with the Venture Brothers.
Dad, I'm going on a date with the Venture Brothers.
Because who wouldn't let your daughter go on a weird date with some weird boys for a little bit of leeway with the rent? On the other side of the city, we see Phantom Limb trying to sell some of his stolen art paintings to a rich American who doesn't really appreciate the pieces.
I want the Mona Lisa.
Which is fair enough. I understand he doesn't want to go back to the cheap life he had before.
If you think I'm going to go back to a diet of ramen noodles and spaghetti O's, driving around in a Honda Accord with a ghost on the hood...
The American wants to buy the Mona Lisa, because everyone always wants to buy the Mona Lisa. But Phantom Limb, who is a big art fan, makes it clear that it's a small and kind of crap painting.
Yeah, she looks like a horse. It's tiny, you know. The thing is like this big.
And he's right. I've seen it. It is a little bit small, and it's normally surrounded by a whole bunch of tourists. We get to see Dr. Mrs. the Monarch in her Queen Etheria outfit, and she questions what on earth Phantom Limb is doing with his life.
You're a bookkeeper, nothing more than an accountant in spandex, and you don't even know it.
Of course, Phantom Limb needs money, but she doesn't want this. She wants to go do crimes and be fun and adventurous, not sell art to fat mob bosses.
No?
When I met you guys like that, you wouldn't have even bothered.
Not everybody has a trust fund like that insect ex-boyfriend of yours.
Which makes me think, I wonder what their early life was. Did Phantom Limb be a more chaotic person? Because he was a college professor, which isn't exactly top-tier chaos role. God, would I love a prequel series to this show. And she calls him an accountant in spandex. Phantom Limb murders the guy he was trying to sell the painting to. And then bitches about how much of a mess he's made as his blood starts to pool on the Persian rug.
This carpet is Persian, irreplaceable. What with there not being a Persia anymore.
But the painting in question is actually a very famous stolen painting.
Rembrandt van Rijn.
It went missing in the 90s, and means Phantom Limb probably committed one of the greatest art heists ever done. Crows in the Storm, I think, went missing from a museum in Boston. So maybe he was a badass and did all these crimes. I don't quite know when the 90s is in the Venture Bros timeline. It's hard to track. We then switch over to the Monarch, who, after an epic rap... 24 and 21, get ready with the new, more awesome, more improved Monarch Mobile Mark III.
We kinda don't have a Monarch Mobile anymore.
There's definitely not a Nissan that's mostly powder blue.
We can take my Nissan Stanza.
A shotgun called!
It's powder blue, mostly.
Great. 21, what do you drive?
His powder blue Stanza.
Doc discovers the best little whorehouse in Texas, which he thinks is going to be a porno starring Dolly Parton.
Starring a one Miss Dolly Parton, meow. Yeah, it seems she made a racy film called The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
And Brock seems less interested, because I think he might be well aware that this is not, in fact, a sex film.
Yeah, Doc, you're gonna be disappointed there.
We also get introduced to a sort of fan-favorite character in Kim, Triana's friend.
What about my date? Hank? Yeah, well, he's blonde.
For some reason, the community seems to have a real attraction to her. I can't work out why people who like a cartoon would have a big thing for some attractive goth girl.
How does he dress? Like Fred from Scooby-Doo.
And we also then get one of my favourite bits of the show episode, which is when they're all driving. The Monarch is on his way to pick up his date.
Put in my mixtape. It's right on the dash. It's the one that says "Chillin' with my peeps" and my main man, the Monarch.
That he met on the Live Journal, who thinks he's the sex while he was in prison.
I met her on the Live Journal, which I kept in prison. Queen, I was sex.
Brock gives some dating advice to the boys, which is basically don't be a dork and get rid of a wallet which has a giant bee on it, which is probably good dating advice for most people. cartoon wallets do not look good.
Take this. It's got plenty of money in there and it doesn't have a cartoon bee on it. Don't let them pay for anything, and if you end up going to like a movie or something, you call me on the two-way, okay?
And we see the excellent chemistry between Phantom Limb and Dr. Mrs. M.
You're awfully quiet.
Hank, upon seeing his date, as they're the first to arrive, is pretty sure his date's a supervillain. Or a Medusa.
Holy moly, look at my date! She's a supervillain! Possibly a Medusa.
50-50. The Monarch hasn't even bothered to learn his date's name, just referring to her as Jolly Rancher 82.
Jolly Rancher 82, never get henchmen.
You know, that's not my real name.
When this episode came out, probably made her about 24, and the Monarch, I don't know, some 30-something, 40-something. Scarily enough now, she'd probably be in her 40s, because it's been 20 years since this episode came out. As she talks about being into cosplay, and the Monarch seems hurt as he says he's in the costume business.
Thought you were into cosplay?
And I am into costume business.
And they both fawn over how hot Dr. Mrs. M is. Like Saffron from Republica when they first met.
Wow, she's gorgeous.
She is heat incarnate. When I met her, she looked like that girl Saffron from the band Republica.
And Jolly Rancher says she heard that she might be manly, which is sort of, I think, the last time this comes up, at least for a while.
I heard that she was kind of manly.
That's ridiculous. Who would say such things? The woman is a delicate flower.
But it makes me think there must be sort of forums dedicated to supervillains, and that there are just people like Jolly Rancher writing messages and fawning over, and probably even cosplaying and going to conventions as actual supervillains and murderers. And we get to learn the definitely real backstory of Phantom Limb. The Monarch explains that Billy built him a machine to give him super muscles.
That speeds up the muscle building process. The machine worked so well that every molecule in his extremities was accelerated beyond the speed of light.
21 thinks that he might have turned his limbs invisible when Billy made a time machine that sent his limbs 40 years into the future.
To the time machine, he became a villain. So Phantom Limb's arms and legs and Billy's hand were sent 40 years into the future.
And Hank explains the obvious and most correct answer, that he was a magician, and when performing for the Queen of England, he made them all disappear to the moon, alongside loads of cards and rabbits.
While performing for the Queen of England, he accidentally made his arms and legs disappear. They are now on the moon with a whole bunch of rabbits and doves and playing cards.
Hank doesn't remember Billy's name, even though they probably met hundreds of times. But he's pretty sure that Phantom Limb ate his arm.
Sliced off a kid's hand and ate it.
All of our dates are going extremely poorly, so the boys head to the bathroom as Phantom Limb discusses contracts for arching, one of the most dull possible things you could do with another supervillain.
Quarters insurance, with the exception of bog or volcano hideouts, full henchman coverage, and a nice little mutiny clause.
The dick swinging starts, as Phantom Limb is known to do, and he says he could kill the Venture Bros with a single phone call.
Please. I'll have you know I could take the entire Venture family out with one phone call.
Yeah, sure you could. That family's indestructible. I dare you.
And Watch and Ward struggle to be competent as he rings them up.
What are you doing? I hate that song.
The compound enters panic mode as Rusty realizes this isn't like a normal Monarch attack. This is a proper supervillain attack.
This is different, Brock, isn't it?
We might not win this one.
Brock's using fear to his advantage as we get to see him naked throughout the rest of the episode.
Why are you naked?
To prey on their fear. Move like an animal to feel the kill.
Unfortunately, we don't get to see Brock's actual penis, which is annoying because we do see quite a few dicks in this show. Doc, his dad, Ned, but we never see Brock's. And it's been, hyped up since, episode 3. But whatever. Doc heads to the panic room with Helper covering him as Brock goes for the boys.
Escort the doctor to the panic room!
And we get to see Helper's epic attack mode, which is one of my favourite modes he has. The Monarch's date has gone probably worse than the boys, as she has left crying, and Dr. Mrs. M hates both of them.
It was when your fake date ran off crying. Come on, Monarch, how old was she?
And Dr. Mrs. M hates both of them for what is going on. Brock stealth kills the Blackout team, and he shows his expertise in human anatomy.
The knife is still in you, the blade right between the kidney and the spleen.
Knowing exactly where all of your body parts are with a knife. as he sings a beautiful technotronic song for a dying man.
Baby, let me.
The Monarch signs the paperwork and ticks some boxes, and we cut to Helper lying dead on the floor and Doc bleeding out, the attack seeming to be an success.
Damn it! Doc! Stay in the panic room!
Phantom Limb spots the boys in the toilet, as Hank has got a stain because he forgot to dab. Because you've got to dab, Hank. It's the one rule. You got to dank. No shaking.
Did you dab?
What?
Dab. Did you dab?
No.
I dab.
No, I don't.
You should dab.
Stop saying dab!
He says he will take out the boys himself. Doc calls Brock to explain that he's bleeding in the panic room and he's only alive because of their lack of storage. Now half man and half Christmas tree.
Helper kept them off at first, but man, those guys were persistent. I think keeping me alive is our lack of storage.
The Monarch bitches about his always soggy steak fries.
Steak fries. Always soggy.
Brock rings up and tells the boys to stay safe. Fortunately, Hank comes up with an idea and starts humping the hand dryer a la Mr. Bean.
Morning, Dino! You gotta try this! It feels too good!
And the Monarch tries to sneak in, but Dean notices, informing Brock that they are, in fact, surrounded by bad guys.
This place is crawling with guys who hate Dad.
But most of the bad guys seem too afraid to do anything. Or maybe they really needed the toilet. As the henchmen come in, 21 needs to drop a Count Dooku.
Dude, get out of here. I gotta take a Count Dooku.
And 24 has just come into the same stall as him because the Venture boys are now trying to put out Hank's crotch fire.
They're on fire! Oh, no, dude! Stop wailing on my junk!
Because the air dryer humping went wrong. Dean starts to slap and dab it as they don't want to put more water on his crotch. As 24 gives me my favourite line in the whole show.
Can't believe it's hard to kill these two.
Phantom Ling rings Watch and Ward to tell them to not send the blackout team here and he'll handle the boys himself.
Daddy is going to put the boys to bed. Himself. Yes, I'm going to kill them.
And Watch and Ward continue to talk about Yaz albums because they are the most competent members of the Guild of Clematis Intent, definitely.
How many Yaz albums do you have on here?
Kim and Triana head to the bathroom where they meet up with Dr. Mrs. M, who I assume was just abandoned at her table because everyone else walked away.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, I belong in here. I just have a deep voice.
She explains that she does actually belong in the women's toilets. She just has a deep voice. And she tries to recruit Kim as a member of the Guild of Calamitous Intent, who thought she was being hit on by a hot lesbian, which Dr. Mrs. M definitely has that vibe.
Look, I've had it up to here with men, and I think we might make a nice team. Quote me.
Naked.
Naked.
Brock jumps through a window after crashing Adrian like a badass. He sneaks under the stools and put a knife to the throat of the henchman.
Holy crap!
Whatever it is, we didn't do it.
Who are, as per normal, scared shitless. Literally in this case, which I think is concerning, especially for 24, because I worry he doesn't have a backup costume.
Finally dropped one.
Yeah, me too.
Then into the Monarch's room, who has nothing to do with this, and just compliments Samson on his sexy ass butt.
Boss of yours.
Don't push it.
Nice ass, Samson.
And then finally, Phantom Limb, who of course gives a pretentious and mocking speech to Brock about being naked.
Do you always hang out naked in the men's bathroom?
What?
And then he threatens Brock with the Guild. Phantom Limb says if Brock kills him now, the Guild will hunt down everybody he's ever known. Every lover, every mother, everyone. I think he's bluffing. I don't think the Guild would go after Brock. He's not really in charge. He's just another guy, honestly.
Guild of Calamitous Intent will rain down on you en masse. Every woman you've loved, every mouth you've kissed will fall dead to the ground.
And he then starts to do the "we're not so different as you and I" speech. And Brock shuts him up because he's heard that speech tens, if not hundreds of times. Every other supervillain probably does that.
We're not so different, you and I.
Yeah, I don't need another "we're not so different" speech. I get those a lot.
And then they go for a handshake. Killer Hands versus the normal man of Brock. And I love the bit where you're not sure what's going to happen. Phantom Limb's not sure what's going to happen. and Brock's not sure what's going to happen. As they make up, the boys go to finish their day. Kim sits down after speaking with Dr. Mrs. M and tells the boys that she's going to be a supervillain.
I'm gonna be a supervillain.
Hank's not worried about that. He's gonna be Batman.
Yeah, I'm gonna be Batman.
And in our after-credits scene, Billy reattaches Doc's arms, almost perfectly.
Don't lift anything for a while, your arm might fall off. Really? No, I'm joking, but...
He definitely doesn't leave any extra stitches or tools in his arm that will come up in a later date. There's a lovely Star Wars reference as Billy's hand is tapping away that I missed in my compilation video of all the Star Wars references in this show and will haunt me forever. And Billy reveals the true backstory, what really happened, and it's that he has no goddamn clue.
How'd you get that thing?
That's an excellent question. I have no idea.
Alright, I'll catch you in the next one. I'm hoping we get more and more Venture Bros content. I'm trying to do more. Life's hard.